Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to this week's episode of Guns and Cameras. I am up at the range on what is a very slushy, yucky day in North Idaho, and I'm thinking about how nice it would be to be in sunny, warm Florida right now. And I bet you our next guest is thinking those exact same things because he made the move recently from sunny, warm Florida all the way up to Montana in the Northwest to shoot for one of our more prestigious media production companies in our industry. The guy's a legend, he's an OG, and I can't wait to share some of his stories with you. So without any further lollygagging, let's get into the episode. Shooters, are you ready? Stand by. What's up guys, welcome to another episode of the Guns and Cameras podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Best, and today we are joined with another very special guest, a man who now lives in the Wild West. And I don't know why I'm rhyming today, it just happened to be that way. Wow, it just keeps going. Anyway, we are joined with Mr. Clayton Cassidy, aka Clayton Cassidy on Instagram. Clayton, thanks for being with us today. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh man. Well, I already told you that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to try to do it right, and I'm defeated by my camera not working, and that was a 2-hour waste of time. But yeah, no, I started taking photos. I was a pilot flying medical transport jets. I started taking photos of like my own guns in my bedroom, like terrible photos. And then somebody was like, "Hey," like a couple years down the road, they're like, "Hey, can we send you a gun and you can take photos of it?" And I was like, "Well, I can get free guns." And then I was like, wow. And then somebody was like, then I started getting better, and they were like, hey, how much is your rate? And we'll send you the guns. And I was like, oh, I can make money and have guns. So yeah, that was like the catalyst that got me launched and started. I started under like C2 Designs was my name. I was doing graphic design for a lot of gun companies, and that's actually how I met my business partner for Arc Division, Patch. He was doing graphic design, and we touched, and yeah, so I just kept going, started CQM, and I just left CQM, my company, after 10 years to go be the creative director for Clandestine Media, and just accomplished probably one of the most insane shoots of my life last week ever. So yeah, it's been wild. I've been in the industry for about 12 years now. I've seen the ups, the downs. I actually started at Defense Marketing Group too as one of my first jobs with Rainier Arms, John Huang. Okay. So yeah, that was a time to be alive. That's when things were still not shadow banned. You could gain 1,000 followers a day on Instagram and not worry about anything, and life was good.
Oh, geez, there's a lot to unpack there, man. So
that was a 50,000 foot overview of all the crap I've been through. So.
True, yeah. No kidding. Well, let's talk about some more recent stuff that's happening in your life. You recently had a big move. Unpack that for us a little bit.
Yeah, so I'd been running CQM for about 10 years. The stress of running the business, doing everything, communication, like invoicing, doing the photo shoots, everything got just overwhelming towards the end there. And Luke, the owner of Clandestine Media, had offered me a job about, I don't know, 15 times, and I don't even know. Over the last 5 or 6 years, I always turned it down, and I was just so burnt out, and I felt like I think in January and probably again in April, I think I worked every day of the month. At least if it wasn't a full day, I was working at least 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday or Saturday, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just couldn't keep up. So I came out here, interviewed, and then moved the entire family across the country from Florida to Montana. I'm still not set up yet. I actually just hung that so it looked like my wall wasn't blank, because this room is still a mess. But I've never moved. I've been married for 15 years, and this is our first big move, and it kicked our butts. So, but we're set up, and we're grinding, and the shoots have been rolling nonstop here at Clandestine. So it's been good.
Dude, what was the first project that you worked on when you made the move?
Shoot, man. I can't remember what I had for lunch today. I want to say, man, I don't remember. I honestly, we've done stuff for Galvian helmets. We've done stuff for, or Galvian, like in general. We've done like stuff for primary arms. Like we're shooting for all these different people. It's pretty cool. Right now we have 1 to 2 shoots a week, I feel like. And we just got back from Dillon Aero in Phoenix last week, where we had a Huey helo and 4 dudes running around, and the logistics behind that were just insane. And we were chasing around on M-Razors and all these vehicles, and we had machine guns, and our boss was communicating to the helo while yelling at us to get in place. We rented a Phantom slow motion camera, or not the Phantom, sorry, the Ember S5K, and I ran that. And I just got done editing my photos, and somehow while running the slow motion camera, I still managed to take 3,800 photos. So that was awful, but
Man,
it was
that's
great,
crazy.
man. But yeah, some of the best shots I've had in the last 10 years were last week. So
Crazy. What's so a shoot that size? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a pretty expensive shoot. I mean, anything that involves a helicopter is always going to be a big project.
Yeah.
What is the size of the team that you guys run to capture all of the angles for something like that?
So I think this is the biggest team we ever had. We had our sugar daddy Luke running everything, calling out the LZs and where we're going. Ryan is our executive producer. He's won 3 Emmys in the sports industry, NFL and soccer and stuff. And he's an incredible executive producer, getting all the models put together, the shoot put together. I'm technically just the creative director. Then we have Matthew, who's our video guy. And we brought Matt Lingo out. I feel like everybody knows Matt Lingo. And then we brought this guy out, Levi, and another guy, Carson. And everybody was all over each other trying to get the shots. It was pretty funny. I had to clone stamp out quite a few people in the shots, but it's just the nature of the game. When that much money's on the line, you're spending, I don't know, $25,000 a day on a helo for 1 maybe 2 hours of blade time. You can't be screaming at people and setting up perfect shots. And our models were excellent. They've used them before. They would just run up and like take a knee and set, and you'd be like, as this helo is just like, and it just absolutely obliterated my Sony. Like my screen got damaged. I think you commented on it, I think, or somebody obliterated my screen, my viewfinder. We put ND filter or UV filters on every lens, and they all get damaged. My polarizing filter for my cinema lenses got damaged. It was just not the roto wash, just constantly bashing you. And I wore like glasses with gaskets in them too, thinking I'm smart and it was going to keep. There's just a layer of dust on the inside sitting there. It's in everything. I'm still washing dust off of me a week later, but it was really, really an impressive shoot. And to watch, the team come together. The first day was a little hit or miss, but then we got into a groove, and it was great. It was sick.
Man, that stuff's going to be awesome. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see some of that. The behind the scenes stuff that was being rolled out from that shoot was blowing my mind.
Oh man,
I mean,
it was insane.
Man, so let's talk a little bit about how you got into, well, you kind of in your intro briefly touched on how you got into guns and cameras,
Yeah.
but let's kind of dive into your past a little bit more. So when did you start officially picking up a camera and creating work?
Oh shoot, high school. Yeah, I was shooting videos in high school, like crappy little homemade videos, music videos, fun stuff like that. I got into photography. I went to college for graphic design and photography, and learned photos there. And then I started a photo business right out of college that failed miserably. I don't think I booked one thing before I shut down. Nothing. I put a sticker on the back of my car that said Clayton Cassidy Photography with my phone number, and didn't get a single call. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. So then I went and became manager for Abercrombie and Fitch.
Okay.
Yeah, then I went to flight school and flew jets for 6 years, medical transport. And then it was either go to an airline or continue doing this. And I was like, I want to be home with my kids, my family, and be around. So I chose that. And it was the best decision. So I'm here now.
That's
and
interesting.
I got into guns like early. I got into guns in college. My roommates and I would go hunting and stuff. zero gun safety. There's pictures of me with guns with fingers in the trigger. It's just absolutely ignorant to safety at all back then. And it's so funny how far you come. And now, like, this is gonna sound super sad, but like, guns barely give me joy anymore shooting them, because I've shot so many that, like, actually the true joy I have in firearms is watching new people experience guns. So that's kind of what I like to do. I like to, like, we brought out these people. This one guy was from Canada on a photo shoot. He was one of the marketing guys on the team, and we're like, here's a full auto MP5. He first gun ever shot a full auto MP5, and the joy on his face brought me joy. So that's kind of where I am now. I'm just like, I want to just show people that guns aren't scary. So that's the best part about it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think it's interesting. I find that the more I do this with people, right, the more the photographers, videographers I talk to, it seems like we all have this story where we started kind of doing something else, and then we ended up going back into taking something that was a passion when we were young, turning it into a career, and then ending up in the guns and cameras industries, right? What is it kind of that, I mean, what's your take on this? Like, have you run into that when you talk to people?
Yeah, so like I've run into a couple of different people. The people that are in the gun industry and left the gun industry, and then the people that are doing videos and photos, say weddings and stuff. Like, I want to get into the gun industry, and I'm like, the gun industry is just notoriously cheap a lot of the time. Like, a lot of people are trading every guy with a camera for content, and it's, you know, it's hard to charge for it, but it's just weird, because I feel like eventually you leave or eventually you jump in. That there's very few people that are constants. Like, when I started, there was Stickman, and Richard King, and all these guys that were just like phenomenal photographers, and they were on the same team with me at Defense Marketing Group when I first got in. And I was like, Triple Bravo, for example, too. Everybody's kind of just left now. Richard King I think he's flying helicopters somewhere. Stickman, I never really knew, but he disappeared. I don't know if he's even posting anymore. So I feel like you age out, and I feel like I've luckily diversified. I've shot for Four Seasons Hotel. I've shot for all these different things, so I can make it in or outside of the gun industry if I had to. But I hope I don't age out, because it's a lot of fun. But I feel like a lot of these guys have started to age out since I've been in it so long. And I hate to see it, because some of them were so, like, Richard King was awesome. Straight 8 Photo, he was the one doing all the composites back in the day, and he just put a post one day and was like, "Hey, I'm done." Okay, like, dang. And they were all these phenomenal people that just got fed up, and it's a grind for sure. And that's, like I said, that's one another reason CQM was so hard. It was hard leaving my company behind, and especially after 10 years of building it. And I didn't know if I was making the right choice moving out here. I didn't, and then moving out here was awful. I lived in a trailer for a month. Our house sold but didn't close, and I was in this limbo where I didn't see my family for like 60 some days, and it was just, I was questioning everything about it. But now that I'm here and I'm set in, it's awesome to be a part of a team that we wake up 4 a.m., 5 a.m. often, or we're going to bed at 10 p.m. because we're shooting through sunset. We're doing night vision shoots. We're doing nighttime shoots. And having a team that's willing to just grind it out and do the odd hours is pretty cool. When we do a photo shoot for a day, it's sunrise to sunset. So we're there all day, and it's nobody complains, nobody bickers. We just get in there, we do the job, and we get it done. And that's what's really cool. The team that I'm on, I'm really blessed to have. They've all been just awesome. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So, right choice?
For now, yeah. Yeah, until I get fired or something stupid. I have no filter on my mouth. I'm having my filter's installed right now, but it loosens quickly, so.
Dude. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm there, I've been talking to my wife too, because I think that there is a lot of market saturation especially right now when it comes to having a plethora of talented photographers, videographers inside of a pretty niche market, right? And so I've found over the last couple of years, it's a lot harder to try to stand out in this crowd of talent. And so, even I am looking for ways to move from just being the guy always running the camera all the time into, into a different position, right? Because, you know, I mean, it's a lot, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know that, you know, running the freelance stuff, working for myself has been awesome and I've learned a lot, but it is also that, like, you know, you're alone a lot and that's tough, especially if you want to be working with other people. And then the stress and pressure of it.
So you said working alone in the freelance. I did a shoot for Clandestine Media in like 2019, and we hired these gaffers, and there was this guy there. He was mid-50s gaffing, and I don't know how we got talking to it, and he made the comment to me that he freelanced for years, and he said that as soon as he joined a team, and he kind of took, because you know you do, like I took a massive pay cut coming here, because my wife was a photographer too, and she left her business. She still flies back, but he said once he joined a real team, that everything got, like, the vision and the capabilities got so much better. He was able to produce things he was actually happy with, and I feel like that's what's happening here. Like, never in my wildest dreams would I have done that shoot I did last week. Like, and I would have never done it had I not come here. And so it's what he said to me resonated. I was like, you know, this guy said, and he did it later in his life too. I'm 37. He was in his 40s, like mid 40s, when he finally joined a team, and he was like, I wish I would have done it sooner, because when you have that team and that like jive, you get so much better things created and done. So yeah, like what you said though, it is nice. I do miss being able to just come home early and hang out with the kids or whatever, but it's nice having like set time and good people to work with. So
yeah, no kidding. Well, and you guys are doing, again, crazy stuff. I think that's the thing is, you know, seeing what's been coming out of the work you've been doing. I mean, if that's, I mean, I know that shoots like that are maybe not all the time, but being able to work for a company that gets involved with that kind of stuff, it's got to be awesome. So
we have a winter warfare shoot coming up that I'm excited about. So that, like, you know, multicam Arctic and dudes on skis, and it's gonna be sweet.
Dude,
so,
that's what's up.
Yeah,
I love doing that. I grew up in BC, so the snow, big mountain snow
boy.
is like my jam, dude. I want to go out and do like a snow survival. Just, you know, go out and make a snow cave up in the mountains and hang out for a couple of days.
That'd be rad.
Just get away. But
yeah, our winter here has been like so mild. Everybody's like, "Oh, you moved in a perfect year." I mean, it's been in the 40s every day in Montana.
dude, yeah, I just drove from Colorado Springs all the way up through Montana, all the way back up to Spokane just 2 days ago, and we came all the way through Montana, and it was, yeah, pretty much, it was hella windy. You know, it was like 80 mile an hour gusts the whole way. But
where'd you go through?
We went down through. We came up through the Crow Indian Reservation, is where we jumped in Montana, and then from there we just got onto I-90 and headed west. So we went. Traversed most of the state. Windy and warm the whole way. I think it was like high 40s, low 50s.
Yeah,
So,
we've had some windstorms here where I think my house is gonna blow away. But it happens like once every other week or so. I'm not joking. The toilet bowl water in my downstairs bathroom will sway. And it's a house. I'm like, I feel like I'm on a boat. It's insane. So
yeah, that's a lot of wind.
But,
oh, crazy, man. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of cameras do you run on a regular basis?
So I run a Sony A1, and then I got my little Leica Q2 right here, a little cute guy. Cool. This is my everyday carry. And then I have a Red Gemini that we run for video, and the FX3 I run for video. And then I have the Atlas Mercury anamorphic lenses, Sigma cinema lenses, and that's just mine. Then the company has like 5 more A1s, another FX3. We've got a crane. We've got the big Ronins. We got everything we need to do like big production, which is a lot of fun.
How long did it take you to build up that collection of gear, man? That's a lot of cameras.
10 years. Yeah.
10 years. Yeah.
Yep. I was,
crazy.
you know, I spent all my profit went into new gear, so it's you know, I'm excited for that new 20 to 70 2.0 on the Sony. Are you a Sony shooter? Or?
I am a Sony shooter. Yeah. I got a couple FX3s, and then A7R5, A7 III.
Yeah.
Somewhere. But,
yeah. Dude, that 20 to 70 2.0 is going to be a game changer. I won't ever take it off. It's going to live on there.
What do you got an everyday carry? What's your everyday carry for the gun side?
So you would think I'd say Arc Division since I'm part owner of Arc Division.
Mm-hmm.
And I was carrying it, and then I saw an article where somebody used a gun that was like they modified, and the jury was like, or the judge was like, oh, you know, this guy used a gun that was modified to make it more deadly and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh shoot, I don't know if I should carry my own, because our slides shoot really flat. They're all chunk port slides, and like they hear like if the best performers are easily our Glock 43X 48 and like the Sig P365, because they're so short and snubby, and that recoil reduction you get with that chunk port is amazing. And you would get a lot faster follow-up shots. But I'm terrified of like actually having to kill somebody and them being like, oh, now we need to go sue. You know, Daniel Defense is like, we've worked with Daniel Defense in the past, and they can't use our imagery with military guys because they're like, their attorneys won't let them because of they're being sued for all the school shootings. So last thing I want is to use one of my ARC guns in a shooting. So I actually carry ZEF-TAC. They can get sued. I don't want to get sued. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that point up, right? So episode 11 is dropping this coming Friday. So a week from today, episode 11 is coming out. Liam Ward, I don't know if you know Liam or not. He was Daniel Defense's marketing guy, photographer for a long time.
Okay.
And he shot a lot of the content that was being used by the opposition during these lawsuits against Daniel Defense, which he's kind of unpacked, which was interesting in the episode coming up. But the thing that is kind of crazy to me is that you bring up a good point, right? You know, if you're a gun owner, you're into guns, right?
Yeah.
We almost all of us like modifications, you know, whether it's having a slide cut for an optic, whether it's adding a compensator, having the slide milled,
Yep.
ported or whatever, you know, having the, you know, grip changed, stippling, all this stuff, right? The ammo we choose, whether, you know, do you do your own reloads, all of these things people do to their weapons to make them perform better without realizing that it might hurt them in a personal defense shooting case, depending on the state you live in, right? I think it's interesting that a lot of people don't think about that. We just shot a video for Stopbox. We did a training video, right? That was basically like, hey, you know, here's how you can work in the Stopbox into your, like, if you're in a home defense scenario, train like it's real life, right?
Yeah.
So we went out to the range and we set up a cot and like a table, kind of in the general layout of how my bedroom scenario is at my house, right?
Yeah.
We measured the distances, the longest shot, set our target at that longest distance, and then we went through this drill. And what's been interesting is watching the comments, because a lot of people, what I did was, excuse me, we did, I took a course in North Idaho from a detective, and the detective explained with the laws in Washington in particular, and again, it changes state to state, that it's in a home defense scenario, it's good to vocalize, right? So you get onto your weapon, get to your point of domination, and then use your voice very loudly to say, hey, I am armed. If you come up the stairs or you come down this hallway, you know, I will probably engage. The police are coming, blah, blah, blah. You say all this stuff really loudly. Yeah. Just to protect yourself on the legal side, right? But what was interesting is the comments in the video were just like, you know, excuse me, I got hair in my mouth. Yuck. Anyway, the comments, it was crazy to watch because everybody's like, you know, ripping on how this video was made. And I'm like, I don't know that people, like, I wish we lived in the days where you could just, you know, it was like the Wild West where there's a bad guy and you just end the bad guy, but it's not as simple as that anymore. So.
Dude, honestly, where I live, I'm pretty sure I could just smoke a guy on my property and be fine.
Oh, yeah. Montana is still very much classified as the Wild West.
So in Florida, my county had 800,000 people in my county. My next door neighbors cooked meth. And here I'm in a town of 1,900, and there's 1 million people in Montana. So it's like culture shock for sure, but we love it. But I've been talking to local people, and they're like, oh, if they come on your property, you can just blast them. I'm like, oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's crazy, but yeah. So I'm sure you'd be fine carrying your own.
I know. I probably should switch back. I just don't.
Switch back, man. It's Montana. The judge there would be like, why didn't you use a bigger gun?
I know, right? Dude, good point. But yeah, I do carry a full-size Glock 19 most of the time. I don't mess around with the little guys too much, but yeah.
Right on. That's awesome, man. So, what are you looking forward to? You made this big move. You're at Clandestine. You just wrapped up this crazy huge shoot, which I feel like sets the bar really high for like you're kind of starting out there. What are you looking forward to this coming year?
We have a lot. So we do this thing that I think the Clandestine was one of the first companies to do it. We do these combined shoots where we get multiple clients in, and there's these different packages. You can do photos with shot lists, without. It just goes on, and you've probably went through Stopbox because we've probably sent you the spreadsheet. But and it's a cool concept, and we have a lot of those coming up. We have one. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it because we might be the first company in the United States to do it. So I don't know if I can say it, but it'll be in February. So if after February all these photos come out that are really, really rad, then we did it. We did it, Joe. Yeah. I mean, I'm just excited to help Luke. I've known Luke, the owner of Clandestine, for 10 years. He owned RE Factor Tactical too, and I used to do his media 10 years ago. And then he was like, "I'm gonna start a media company," and I was like, "All right, jerk." No, I was kidding, but no, and I'm just excited to help him out and produce some of the best, like execute some of the best content I can. Like I said, I have severe ADHD. Like, oh, dude, if Anakin Skywalker is like the one for the Force, I'm the Anakin of ADHD. Like, dude, I am like way up there. So I start all these new, like right now I'm trying to learn 3D. I want to I'm trying to figure out AI more. I'm trying to just adapt to what's coming because I don't think people realize what's coming. I don't think anybody quite understands the gravity of the changes in technology right now. Mm-hmm. I saw one the other day where they just took a picture of like a gun or something, and then it just turned it to 3D. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, we're screwed. So I'm just trying to figure out all that and navigate that right now and figure out how to implicate it with CMG so that we don't fall behind in the times coming, because I think I think photography and video will always be an aspect of what we do, but I think with AI and with 3D stuff, there's going to be a huge shift where we'll be able to do things even bigger and better, Like it's as simple as like I like to color my videos in DaVinci Resolve, and the relight feature, being able to relight. It's stuff like that people aren't using. In a lot of the gun industry, like just throws their log footage on Instagram, and you're like, okay, cool. But then there's a lot of guys that are there's some of these younger guys on Instagram are inspirations to us old farts. There's so many of them. I could name them all, but I can't name them all. But I could try. But yeah, there's guys on there I'm watching, and I'm like, man, these people really are pushing it to the limits and doing the max on some of their videos and photos and studio work, and it makes me want to push myself harder. And I think that's the hard part, is like keeping up with everything is going to be a full-time job in itself after hours, to learn new skill sets so that you can improve and keep up instead of age out, like I said earlier.
Dude, yeah, it's hard to, right now I'm trying to get motivated to stay with it, right? Because that's actually, it's funny because back in the day when I went to college as well for visual communication design, right? Graphic arts, photography, web design, all that stuff. And I on purpose didn't dive really deep into like coding. I mean, I think it's interesting, but one of the things that killed me with programming languages, right, is that they're always evolving. Yeah. And the constant grind to have to stay on top of learning a new language on a regular basis, to me was just like, I don't know if I have the mental capacity to be able to try to keep up with that. And now I feel like even with, the editing tools we use, DaVinci Resolve, I use that as well. It's my favorite, right? But every time there's an update, it seems like the list of features they're adding, just grows and grows and grows. Yeah, dude. And you're like, holy cow, I just feel like I just recently was able to complete and read through the freaking manual for the software, just to try to maximize, because there's a lot that is in Resolve. It's a very complex piece of software, and I want to be able to maximize my efficiency in there, and there's still so much I don't know.
I still don't like building in it. I still like to build in Premiere and Roundhouse it because I'm so fast at Premiere, but I've done a few projects in there, but man, it's just it's like you said, every time there's an update for any of them, like even
Oh yeah.
Premiere has AI generative remove for video now, and you're like, get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna get wild. You can hardly tell what's real or fake anymore, anyway. So
Yeah. I find on a daily basis, I'm kind of wanting to be the anti-technology guy. Like I love technology, but
oh,
I'm also the more and more the stuff rolls out, I'm just like, oh geez, I just want to go build a cabin in the woods and just homestead. That's
that's
really all
dude.
I
That's
want to do.
so we got 5 acres here. That's what we want to do, man. I'd love to just throw
Yeah.
my phone, delete social media, and stop, but pays the bills.
Right.
Sucks.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about your work here. I got your Instagram pulled up, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to share the screen, and we're going to look through some of your stuff.
Don't look at the bad stuff. My last post is just dirt. You can't even see anything.
Let's see how far down. Let's see how far we can go here.
That's actually one of my favorite photos I ever took. That carousel one. I've just gotten my first Sony right there.
Right here.
I've just gotten my first Sony ever, and I literally just snapped that picture at a state fair, and I was like, "Oh, this might be cool."
That's awesome.
Totally,
Did you
random.
print it? Did you print it out?
I did. Yeah, it's actually hanging in the bathroom. We still have our studio in Florida, so
Awesome.
yeah, it's hanging in there.
That's awesome.
Oh, that was a cool one. Travis Pastrana.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, I did some work with Black Rifle Coffee, and
Nice.
got to photograph the Pastrana man. That was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Man, you've done some stuff.
yeah, I did some stuff with John Bones Jones. That was really cool. He threw me. I have a video of him actually tossing me. We wrestled in his in his garage. He has a nice garage. Underwater stuff. Yeah, I do the underwater photography. Yeah,
That's crazy.
I go. Yeah, I have this insatiable urge to do more. So I want to. Don't tell my wife. She's not listening. I want to get my skydiving certification this next year and start doing skydiving photos and
Dude,
video.
that would be awesome.
But I'll probably die doing it, so who knows? But
That is a potential risk.
yeah, do that.
So, what was kind of your thing when you first picked up a camera and you started to shoot? What was kind of your starting subject matter?
Guns.
Guns, like right
Yeah,
away. That
guns.
was the first
Yeah,
thing you started shooting.
like you'll see, it's like there's a portion here where like I kind of stopped doing CQM for a little while.
Yep.
And I did other things. I learned studio. My wife was like, "Learn studio photography." I learned studio photography, and then she was like, "I don't care anymore." So I've done fitness. I've done CrossFit stuff. But like one of my longest clients was SLR Rifle Works. I worked for them for over a decade. But yeah, now you're getting back into like my piloting days. There we
I was
go.
gonna say this is some old stuff.
Yeah, those are the jets I flew. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, man. So graphic design, that was a time to be alive. But
Dude, holy smokes, we're going way down. Let's scroll up a little bit here. I don't know
Yeah.
if we gotta go all the way to the bottom.
oh yeah, you're getting. But there's always guns. I literally started taking photos of my guns, like really, really crappy photos, like iPhone photos, and I would do like the texture clarity to like 1,000, and it would look all grainy and crappy. I'd be like, this is good, and just post it, and people and clients and companies would be like, we'll send you a gun. I'm like, oh, so
See if
yeah,
big
that's-
CrossFit Close
look at
Quarters
that.
Media Group.
that was
Look at that, man.
481 weeks ago. I don't do math good, but that's a long
September
time ago.
27th, 2015.
Whew.
So, 10 years, just
Yeah,
about.
yeah, man.
Cool, man.
It was
Are you from Florida originally? Is that where you grew up?
Texas. Moved to Florida right before 9/11. Actually, my dad was a pilot for Southwest Airlines when 9/11 happened. He was flying over New York, saw the plumes from the smoke, and my dad was actually. I think the reason why I got into all of this was because my grandpa was a 28-year sergeant major, Special Forces.
Okay.
Through Vietnam and everything, and my dad was an Air Force pilot, flew C-130s and T-38s, and they were like, "You're not going in the military, you're going to go to college." And I was like, "Okay." So I wanted to, and after I became a pilot, I went to the recruiter twice, and they were like, "There's no way or world in which you fly for the military, even if you already fly jets." And I was like, "Okay, well." And now hindsight
Wow.
being, well, you had to start over from scratch. I mean, I would have probably been because they just fly. Their rules and their regulations and how they fly is different apparently.
Yep.
I mean, I could have. It has been very, very hard. And hindsight being 2020,
you'd have to unlearn everything.
yeah.
Right?
And hindsight being 2020, I still wish I would have joined, because I could have, if I would have gone some sort of infantry, I would have probably had a good time anyway, unless I died. But yeah, yeah. But I don't know. But now I'm back in it, and I get to hang out with like the coolest guys. Like, you know, I got to do CQB and night vision ops in January with some team guys, which was freaking the coolest experience of my life. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've done weddings. I've done, like I said, all kinds of random crap.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. We did this stuff for Coastline K9 a long time ago, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Channing Tatum started following us, and we like talked to Channing Tatum. I think he still follows Close Quarters Media Group, and like we were literally DMing him, like, in what world would I've ever gotten to just talk to Channing Tatum casually?
Right.
So it's been an experience for sure. I've gotten to meet really cool people, like I said, Travis Pastrana, John Bones Jones. Like John Jones is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's like, he was like, hey, what are you guys driving while you're here filming me? And we're like, oh, we're just gonna Uber. He's like, take my Trackhawk. Okay, easy. So we drove around his 600 plus horsepower Jeep Trackhawk for 5 days.
Crazy, man.
So it's been an experience, dude.
That's nuts.
That picture right there, actually, if you scroll down with that thermometer on my wife's head,
right here,
she is literally gutted like a fish with her stomach open, giving birth to her child. And I took that picture. She's calmer than a Hindu cow, dude. I'm like, what? Like, dude, I literally like took that picture, then looked down, her guts are out. I was like, oh. So.
Yeah, my wife did not let me bring a camera to either one of our kids.
See, we did the C-section route, so she didn't care. But yeah, man,
it's crazy. Dude, you have just a crazy body of work.
Yeah,
But the thing is, like, your look stays really consistent.
Yeah, there's good old Tam Fam Graham right there. I did Gabe Tam Fam Graham's wedding actually too. That's
right.
That was I did his wedding photos back in the day. Good, he's a good guy too. I've known him for forever.
Man, nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, crazy. It's encouraging for me because I get to look back and obviously I think you've been shooting a little bit longer than I've been shooting. I think I'm just coming up on 10 years, but it's encouraging to see just kind of where you're progressing.
Yeah. That guy right there is Granger Smith. Yeah.
Yes, sir. My son loves this guy.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. I got to go to Yee Farm, and my buddy Nick Goff was teaching him like long range shooting. It was pretty cool.
That's cool. So we already covered your favorite. I was gonna say that. What's your favorite picture? It's cool. I mean, you got so much good stuff here. I love that your personal favorite image is something that, again, you just grabbed at a county fair, considering you have all this other work.
I think it's really funny. Oh, there's John Bones right there. I think it's really funny that people get when you get a new camera. Sometimes you have that unexplainable urge to do something different. Like, you're like, I have this new camera, I want to do something different. And so whenever I get a new camera, I always take a picture that's always different than I've ever taken. It's always one of my favorites. So sometimes I try to get in that mindset while I'm shooting, like, pretend this is a new camera, like you've never used it before, because like that photo is my first. I just switched from Nikon. We started on a Nikon D90, then a D3500, then a D800, then D810, then D850. And we were drinking at 7:30 in the morning there. No joke. We got hammered at 7 a.m. That was actually one of, gosh, I don't want to talk about that client. That was.
No worries.
Yeah,
dude, these are killer.
Actually, my buddy Ben took those. That's me looking cool.
Nice.
But Yeah, he took those of me for Sterling timepieces. We did CQM still does a lot of Sterling's work. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Do you have a preference, lifestyle over studio, if you had to pick one?
Probably studio, just because I can just
It's clean.
turn on music and not talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's controllable. That one actually right there, the guy's jumping up. No, not that one. The two up above that one.
This one?
That one turned into an ad the next day. That's Travis Pastrana. They were jumping that trike. I was sure somebody was going to die. Yeah, but yeah, studio, it's just controllable, and I can take my time and get the right shot where, like this last shoot running around with a helo, it's just you take photos and you just pray to God you got good ones. And I did. Like I'll send you a few you can probably post with this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just I keep seeing my family Christmas card photos too that we do every year. They're so ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about, like I said, my wife told me learn studio photography and then teach me. So I learned studio photography, and I was like, all right, I figured it out. And she was like, oh, I don't care anymore. Just set it up for me. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I just set it up for her if she needs it. But it really helped me because I understand, one of my secrets is like I've gotten really good at lenses and like glass with studio work. And it's super simple. It's just double diffusing it with something bigger than the softbox to give it like so the bleed off's easier. And that's the thing too. If anybody ever reaches out and asks for help, I have no problem. I'll just tell my secrets. I'll just blurt them out. Like I'm not like
trade secrets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here to help, not to be like my photography. Don't be like me. But
All right, guys, I'm out here still in this slushy, nasty winter weather in North Idaho, getting in some reps, and we are halfway through this week's episode of Guns and Cameras. And that means it's time for me to tell you that this episode has been brought to you by 1156 Productions and by Tokens of Valor. Tokens of Valor is my side hustle where I take pieces of brass, copper, etc. from bullets and sterling silver, and I turn them into one-of-a-kind, hand-forged works of art that you can wear for both men and women. If you're interested in getting a piece made for you, just find me on Instagram. It's Tokens of Valor. Send me a DM and we'll get something started for you. Also, big news, Guns and Cameras now has an active brand store where you can start to go buy stickers, hopefully shirts pretty soon. And yeah, so go check that out if you want to support the channel. Go to the brand store, buy some stuff from Guns and Cameras. All right, we're halfway through this week's episode with Clayton Cassidy, AKA Clayton Cassidy on Instagram. The guy's a legend. I'm really enjoying this week's episode. I hope you guys are too. So I'm gonna get back to training in this nasty, and you guys enjoy a nice warm cup of coffee while you listen to the rest of this week's episode of Guns and Cameras. All right, here we go.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Honestly, it never really has occurred to me to not be, I probably overshare a lot of times with some of the trade secrets, but it just has never occurred to me to be somebody that holds my cards close. It's just been like, hey, yeah, if I can help you with a little information, I will happily give it.
Well, I've come to realize too that you can tell people everything, but can they do it?
Yeah.
Oh, those are that Mercury lenses. Those Mercury lenses are insane.
Dude, those are nice.
This is what we just did last week. I threw this together for this guy convinced my boss to let me rent the Free Fly or the Ember, and then he was on life support. He was on life support and was gonna pull the plug. And he was like, "Can you please put together a video over the weekend?" He goes, "I know you're burnt out, but if you have a second." And so I was like, "Absolutely!" I was like crying. He was telling me, I was tearing up. I was like, I'll make this guy a video. Like, he's gonna die. And
Crazy.
Threw this together in like an hour and a half.
Oof, that shot's
yeah.
That's what's up, dude.
Yeah, it was it was rad shooting with that camera.
Wow.
It was definitely cool. And we had everybody shooting photo and video, and this was insane. This slow motion right here. Yeah.
Dude, those things are I did some work a while ago for Adams Tractor. An Adams Tractor, they had one of their Razors side by sides out, and we shot golden hour running that thing through the mud,
Oh,
and it's just they're just too cool.
yeah.
Santa Claus.
Yeah. No, it was awesome, man. I'm lucky to be doing what we're doing here. It's new, it's different, it's bigger picture, you know. That shoot, I don't know how much we charge to do all those. There's our Christmas photo. We always do something ridiculous, dude.
That's what's up, dude.
My daughter, dude, if you look, actually click to the next one on that one.
All right, you got
My
it.
daughter looked hard, dude. I was proud as hell. Look at her face. You go to the next one. I think she is the next one. No, the next one. Yeah, dude, look at that face. She's so hard. Don't mess with my daughter, man. She'll shoot your eye out.
Yeah.
Look at that trigger discipline too. 7 years old. Hell yeah.
Look at that. She knows.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Teach them young.
Yeah.
Dude,
But-
crazy. So do you prefer, dude, first off, great work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can't say, I got no words. It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
So do you find that you prefer photo over video, or like what's your kind of ratio? Is it 50-50, 40?
It depends. Like,
60?
I prefer photo in many ways because it's so much easier.
Mhm.
Like, post process, shooting itself. There's so many variables with video, but I enjoy telling a story with video.
Yeah.
So it's like I would much rather shoot video and tell a good, compelling story. But photo is just like so much easier than video. And not to diminish, there's some photographers out there that are incredible that I can't even keep up with, you know. But video, just that storytelling, that narrative filmmaking, I feel like that's something we want to do this next year that I'm excited about. We want to try to put together a combined shoot where we pitch an actual storyline. And there's some guys in England. Have you heard of the Sunray series?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys, they're former Royal Marines, and they're doing this like Sunray series using airsoft rifles in the UK, and their visuals and their storylines are like just some of the best I've seen in this industry in a long time. So I'm hoping that we can move into that. I would love to see a lot more storytelling in this industry.
I think it's the natural progression. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day about, if you have like case in point, the shoot you just did with the Hilo, right? And you have something like that, and you got just the investment it takes to put together a shoot of that scale with all those technical aspects, the talent, the helicopters, the vehicles, the weapons, all that stuff. Being able to take something like that and then turn it into like an opportunity to shoot a miniseries, right? So instead of shooting just an ad with a bunch of cool guy stuff, right, you actually bring in a little bit of narrative, and you say, hey, we're going to create something that has some entertainment value to hopefully even add additional revenue, right? Because if the story's good and you have a multi-episode, let's say it's a 5-episode series, that you shoot, you get all the ad content, but you can also go pitch it to like a streaming platform and say, hey, we just shot this miniseries and it's pretty good, the story's good, do you want to buy it, run it, right?
What? And there's such a fine line too, because there's a lot of people that try to do narrative in our industry, but it's the same. Like I feel like so many guys do the same story, like just want to do cool guy stuff. Like, all right, there's a hostage or there's something we got to get, and then we got to go to the kit up room, and then we got to leave the kit up room. And we drive there, and we have to have a drone shot, and like all these like it's like sometimes you feel like you're watching the same film over and over and over, and it's like it's just not authentic. Not like I would want like a real narrative where a real story that is compelling and emotional, and not just like, oh, we're gonna kill everybody in our way. We're the most badass people on the planet, because that's not how the more badass people I meet, they talk about situations that they don't want to be in. There's this one team guy that I met, and he had these like airsoft sleeves on his belt and his back that like add 2 more mags that are like wings coming out. And I was like, dude, why do you have, like, he had like 3 or 4 up front, 2 AR mags on his belt, and then 2 more in these like wings. And I was like, that's a lot of AR mags. And he's like, have you ever been in a gunfight in an open field? And I was, I haven't. And he's like, you need a lot of mags. And I was like, okay. So Like, dude, he's like, he's like, me and my team were just sprinting across the field, and when we were out of mags, we were just running for our lives. And I was like, frick. He's like, so here I have, another 120 rounds, just extra little Velcroed on. And I was like, dear Lord, okay, that sucks. So the more I talk to these guys, you realize like there's situations where like even in your head, like I could John Wick that. You can't John Wick everything.
Dude, that's one thing I was mentioning to somebody the other day. I'm like, we are the hero of our own story always, right?
Dude, I am my main character. Yep.
Oh yeah. In every imagining of every scenario that could ever possibly happen, you are always the one who's the hero, never the victim. You're never injured. You're never you're always bulletproof, and you're able to handle yourself. And like the reality is that it's just not the case.
So, I'm gonna tell you something. I haven't told anybody but the people I work with this. I had a situation last week. So we flew, and my boss drove to Phoenix with all of our gear, and he was like, does anybody mind driving it back? And I was like, yeah, I'll drive it back, whatever. So it's a 18-hour drive back from Phoenix to Montana. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the first leg. It's like 10:30 at night. I left at like 6 p.m. and I'm somewhere in between Phoenix and Las Vegas, middle of nowhere. And I had like 50 miles left on my tank and 25 miles till the gas station. Mm-hmm. And we just hit a dead stop gridlock, like middle of nowhere. And so I looked at my Google and it says there was construction, but we weren't moving at all. So all of a sudden my lane starts going and I follow, and I'm behind a huge Amazon truck, like a semi. Mm-hmm. And we cut across and we go down this drainage road, like a dirt road next to the highway. That's like obviously a workaround. So we're driving. There's like 20, 30 cars behind me. There was cars in front of the semi, but they all ditched him because it's a semi on a dirt road. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he comes to a complete stop in front of me. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? And I look off to my side and there's this dude coming down a dirt driveway from a double wide trailer. And he gets like right between my hood and the back of the truck and just puts a shotgun in my face. He just goes, and I was just like, oh! So I like grab, my windows are really tinted in my boss's car. So I grabbed the SIG 365 out of the console. And I was like, at this point, by the time I grabbed it and looked up, he's walking towards the front of the cab of the truck. And I'm like, all right, so this guy's going to die tonight. And like that, like it was just matter of fact. I was like, he's gonna die tonight, and I was like, if he comes back this way, I'm gonna kill him. I'm just gonna start shooting. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just like on him like this, up by the truck, just waiting. And a couple times he pointed the shotgun back at me, but more like he's like this, and he like points it back at me, and the back of the truck, and then the trucker finally was like, I should get out of here, and starts driving, and the guy puts his gun back at his waist down like towards the ground, and I just like slowly go by him, but like gun on him the whole way. And luckily I didn't have to shoot him, because in the back of this freaking semi is 20 AR-15s, like fake C4 that we'd made for the shoot, fake RPGs, fake law rocket launchers, body armor, night vision, everything in the back of this thing I'm pulling. The headlines would have been amazing if I had to shoot him, and I would have been in prison and they would have thought I was a terrorist. But as I passed him, I was looking back, I was so surprised at how calm, cool, and collected I was. It was just like, it was like a normal everyday thing. I was like, well, this guy's going to die. And like, I point the gun at him, and I had like zero nerves about it. Like, I wasn't scared, nervous, worried. I was just like, I'm going to shoot this guy. I get like 50 yards past him, and that adrenaline kicked in, and I could barely drive. Everything was shaking. I was like, oh. I was like, oh, and I called my boss, and I was like, this just happened. And he was like, first off, if you would have gotten the stateside kill before me, I'd have been pretty pissed. Second off, and I was just like, he was like, the stories of all that crap in the back of your van or your thing you're pulling. And I just remember, like, he's like, you should probably call the cops. I was like, oh yeah. So I go to call the police, and they're like, oh yeah, we already have 4 calls on him. Deputies are on the way. Okay. But dude, like, nice. I've never had a gun pointed at my face, and I'll say, I would not like for it to happen again, but like that happened last week, last Friday night. So,
dude,
yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, not fun, but I'm assuming he's in jail, so that's good.
I would hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
brandishing, right? That usually is not a good thing to do to people
no.
if you don't have a reason.
No.
That's wild, man. Crazy story.
Yeah.
I wonder, right? Like I train as often as I can, and always in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, until you're faced with something like that, you really don't know how you're going to react, right?
Well,
So,
and I've had people tell me too, oh, when it happens to you, you won't be so calm. And I'm like, okay, probably not. And then I was like wildly surprised how calm I was. But like I said, after the fact, those nerves kicked in and like the shakes kicked in, and I was like, oh crap. I mean, my legs were shaking so bad, I had to just throw on cruise control. I couldn't even function my feet. But during the moment, good to go. And I can't imagine the nerves that would have popped off if I popped off. It'd have been, dude, I'd have probably crapped my pants, like literally. So,
that's crazy, man.
and cried and called my mom and told her I'm going to jail.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Wowie, wow. Yeah, man. I don't know. We'll see how things go with the way industry is, right? SHOT Show is going to be interesting. I'm trying to decide, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Actually, if I'm being totally honest with you, my plan right now is I am enjoying doing more front of camera work. And so my plan right now is to try to get more work doing, I don't know, hosting stuff.
Yeah.
Acting, whatever. I don't know. It's weird to say out loud, but that's kind of what I'm working on. But
Oh, I'd love, dude. I actually, a few weeks ago, my buddy was like, hey, there's a casting call for right around your neighborhood. Text your picture to this number and your height and weight. And so I did, and they called me back, and they actually like chose me, and I was going to be an extra on 1923, the Yellowstone spinoff.
dude, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I was supposed to show up on this date and do all, and like I got fitted for it, like in this old like nice suit and everything. And then we misbooked a photo shoot. Like it was supposed to be like the 15th and the 1923 thing, and we had thought we booked the photo shoot on the 14th so I could go the 15th, but they flew in the night of the 14th, and so we had to shift it all, and I ended up missing it. So I'm not going to be an actor anymore, but I tried.
Dude, that close. That was your career, man.
That was it.
You're going to be discovered. It'll happen.
Oh, dude, it is so cool though, just to see how a real production, like a real production works, is what I was excited about.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Because that's such a. I helped out I was on a couple of bigger commercial shoots earlier in the year. I was working as like a camera tech on one, and then I was a B camera op on another. And
yeah,
it's interesting to see, because when you're a freelance run and gun type shooter, the way you set things up is I try to emulate. I can't speak for everyone, like how I would, through research, how shoots are put together. But then until you get onto a set, like an actual set, you really have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? With grip and with freaking gaffers and
just
the crap, like all of the stuff, right?
Yeah, everything
Different
is just
experience.
insane. Yeah, and I have a lot of people who tell me I should go be in front of the camera more, but like the owner of SLR Rifle Works, Todd, he's one of my good friends. I love the guy to death, and he's like, move to Hollywood and I'll be your
manager,
your agent, your manager.
Your agent.
Like he's told me so many times, just do it. He's like, you're gold, because I get unhinged. Like I'm being good, but I get unhinged real quick, and I do a really good. If you look at my Arc Division page ever, I do these videos, and everybody's like, has anybody told you sound like Ryan Reynolds? Like all the time, but I do that accent on purpose because it plays. So. But I do. I sound just like it. I'm not gonna lie. I have a Deadpool costume coming, and I'm gonna dress like
Sweet.
Deadpool for Arc Division.
Dude.
Yeah,
Dude, that's what's up.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But
That's super fun.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. So
that's awesome. So of all the stuff, I mean, dude, you've shot just about everything. So is there like a white whale for you? Is there like a thing that you're still kind of chasing, or do you feel like you've done all of that stuff and now you're just gonna?
Dude,
ride
I
off to
have
the sunset, or what's the plan?
No, I have severe imposter syndrome. Like I don't think any of my work's good ever. Like I've made like one film that I'm happy with. I did a video for ZevTech. Grand Thumb was in it. It was like 4 years ago now, and I feel like that was like the pinnacle of my video making. And I had a great team too, like some guys that work for the NFL now, and they do all of Patrick Mahomes videos, like all of them.
Wow.
Yeah. and they're phenomenal filmmakers. And I, honestly, like I look at like, do you follow Step Studios on Instagram?
I don't think so.
STEPT, Stepped. If I could just produce one video like they do and have it edited and done like them, that's like, they do just the most incredible work I've ever seen. When you don't follow them, man, you'll be sucked down that rabbit hole of imposter syndrome because they are phenomenal.
STEPE what?
STEPT, Stepped.
Okay, Stepped.
Yeah,
Okay.
Studios.
Step
And
Studios. Okay.
everything they do is gold. But they have like Company 3 color grading, some of their stuff. Yeah. So but they do NFL, they do Oakley, but they do like the real deal, like beautiful cinematic storytelling with compelling visuals where you're just like, and that's where I'd love to be able to produce stuff like that.
Dude,
and that's,
I'm right
you know,
there with you.
budget comes into play, but eventually, you know, what we're doing here at CMG is pretty crazy. We're building a powerhouse, I think. And I'm hoping that we can branch out from the guns a little bit and do some more of that stuff, because we've done hunting now and we've done things like that. And if we could just do like I don't know if you've ever seen the Filson videos. If you could just go on Vimeo and look Filson videos up, like some of those, like just beautiful, like, you know, narrative stuff is the I want to move people,
Dude.
and it's hard because, like I said, that's another reason why I'd prefer to do video, because a photo can move people, but it's very difficult to have a meaningful photo that can move people. You got to be in like Uganda photographing kids starving to death at sunset, you know, to move people these days, because everything, they just get so much content shoved down their throat 24/7, and they're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And to have actually somebody stop and be moved by what you're doing, that's the real goal.
Yeah, no, dude, I get it. The imposter syndrome is real for me too. Though actually, I'm a perfectionist, right? And so that's why I have yet to, dude. Like, not to toot my own horn here, but I've got some shots and some work that I've done that I'm pretty proud about. But I also don't know how to make a reel because I just can't. I'm like, I almost have to. I actually had this plan the other day. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I hire one of my buddies who runs an editing company and just send him a whole bunch of footage and pay him to make the reel. Dude. Because I can't pick. I get too, again, imposter syndrome sets in, the perfectionist in me sets in, and it's never good enough for my own work, right? And so actually Guns and Cameras has been helpful for me, because Guns and Cameras as a creative project is something that just kind of has existed to, one, kind of help me learn more about social media, but two, also using some of the AI editing tools that are available, and then just trying to, like, you know, it's good enough, right? Just get content out. And that's helped a little bit with my issues with perfectionism. But when it comes down to, again, some of the work that I shoot, I'm like, man, I just don't know how to do that. You know what I mean?
There's an editor on Instagram. If you don't follow him, you should. His name is Levi Arnold. He pisses me off. He's such a piece of crap. Like, dude, he did this video for Formula One racing, and it's all 3D. And I was like, I messaged him. He follows me. We talk every once in a while. I'm like, hey man, how long have you been doing 3D? He's like, oh, I taught myself 6 months ago. And I'm like, what the F? like you just made a video for Formula One racing that's absolutely off the rockers, and you learned 6 months ago? He's like, eh. And then like I swear he just does a bag of cocaine and then edits all night, and just turns out like, dude, it's like the most insane. He does stuff for Fit Aid and C4 Energy. Dude. They're just the most insane videos I've ever seen. And he shoots with the guy who shoots with him is one of my buddies, Preston, who is another phenomenal filmmaker. But they do, like, the stuff they're turning out. It's just, everything is insane. Like, and they have the Arri Alexas. But they shoot on A1s and FX3s. They're like, it's so easy and it's so good. And they're like, the client has to pay for the red or the Arri or whatever, you know, or our Cook lenses. They're like, we're just using G Masters on FX3s and FX6s. And I'm like, stop it. They're just killing it.
Man, the FX3s is tough it's a tough camera to beat for the price point and what it can do. I mean, I've been nothing but impressed with the two I run. Like, and I don't know how you can beat a platform as versatile as that, really.
The first thing I filmed with my new the Mercury lenses was it was the one of my wife in the desert. It's like pinned on the top of my page, and it's like I shot it on the FX3, and I was blown away. I couldn't believe it because the FX3 I'd had it, but I hadn't really pushed it. And I filmed that, and we were just out in the salt flats in Utah, and I just filmed for fun. Of course, it's one of my favorite things I've ever made, and it was just one of those again. I just had a new lens, and I filmed for fun, and I made something epic, and I'm like, all right. And I had these dudes that like would like direct, like legit directors and like Instagram filmmakers that followed me and were like, I would love to have made something like this, and I'm like, well, that's the only one I'm making, so good luck following me now. You're not going to see anything cool again.
Dude,
so
yeah, the funny thing is, and I don't know if this is common. It sounds like it's common for you. It seems to be common for me. Some of the best work I've ever done has always been stuff that it's just like it happens. No plan. You picked up a camera, you saw something you like, and you just roll on it. And then the next thing you know, you're like, wow, that's actually like probably the best thing I've ever done. And then the stuff that you plan out and you put all this extra effort into always ends up being just like a little bit disappointing.
Always. You plan it out, you light it, you have everything planned to the T, and it comes out like dog water, and you're like, the thing I run and gun. Beautiful. Yeah.
So anyway, that's a good reminder to myself. I try to remind myself, I'm like, you know what, Josh, just chill. Just grab a camera, pick a lens, and just, trust your eyes.
I tell myself all the time, like I'll get on set to film something and I'll be like, all right, keep it simple, and then like whatever takes over my insanity, and all of a sudden it's like the furthest thing from simple, and it doesn't turn out as good. And I'm like, if I would have just not, I set like 6 lights up. I'm like, if I would have used 2 lights or 1 light source, it would have been 80 times better. Yep. And so, yeah, that's it. It gets me, man, every time. I tell myself keep it simple, and then I go look at a lighting diagram on Instagram that Learn Filmmaking or somebody posted. I'm like, I'm going to copy that, and then it turns out terrible every time. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should hire a gaffer. But
yeah, dude, I don't know. We were talking. I was down in Texas for a shoot not too long ago, and I was hanging with the guys I was hanging with. We were talking. My buddy showed me a video. He was like, check out this video. You got to watch it. It was a self-funded indie film project, had like $1 million budget, and he showed me the cut or the trailer for it, and I watched it and I was like, it was bad. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think that in the film industry, and again, I'm from an outsider, right? Like I haven't been plugged into it, but there's like the stuff that I get to make, the stuff that you get to make, right, just has a richness and character and cinematic vibe, right? And we do that almost without trying. And then you see these trailers from projects with a pretty decent budget that just look like, I don't know if it's a frame rate thing, right, or if it's a color thing, or if it's like a gaff that said, no, we got to light it this way because it's the way it is done without but it always just, there's almost a disconnect there where I'm like, man, if I had $1 million budget for a project, it would sure as heck wouldn't turn out looking like that. but that's the thing, is like the comments like, is hiring a gaff gonna be better or worse for you? I guess it depends on the gaff you hire, right? So I don't know.
It's true. No, it's true. I actually just watched that new Netflix. It's #1 on Netflix right now. Carry On. Have you seen it yet?
Haven't seen it yet.
Dog crap, dude. It's so bad. The storyline, there's plot hole, like dude's talking into a microphone in TSA to himself. Like somebody's gonna notice that. They make TSA people seem happy, like they like their jobs. No, like I've never seen a TSA person be like, "Oh, have fun on your flight." Like, dude, it was Jason Bateman too, and like Aegon, whatever his name is, Targaryen. That's not his name, but dude, big crew. Dude, we watched it, and I was like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, dude, it's crazy. Hey, be gone from me.
I want to be here.
You gotta be quiet then. I'm talking. This is my life now. I would say I didn't really want kids growing up. Or when we first got married, my wife wanted like 5. I was like, if we have kids, okay, cool. And now that I have them, I'm like, this is the best things on the planet.
Dude, 100%.
You have kids?
I do. I have 2.
Yeah.
My son is 7 and my daughter is 4. And
my daughter's 7. My daughter's 7. My son is 4.
Oh, there you go. So
yeah, it's the best, dude. This is Lily. Say hi, Lily.
Hi.
Yeah,
hi,
that's
Lily.
that's my little one. So, yeah, no, it's great. And this one, she wants to be a photographer when she grows up. She's wants to be just like me.
course.
She's obsessed with me. It's great.
Of course.
But
Dude, my kids, I used both of my kids actually. I used to shoot e-commerce photos, studio photos for like kids products for Amazon companies, and I used my kids in a couple of them. So now they're just like, there's no camera shyness at all.
oh, dude.
They know how to work the camera.
So my wife's a photographer as well, and I taught her photography like 10 years ago, and then she just proceeded to get way better than me. Like, it's super annoying, and she uses our daughter for like test lighting all the time, or like test setups, and it's the most adorable thing. And my daughter just kills it every time. Like, she's just so photogenic. So yeah, I get it.
Is Mommy almost home?
No, mommy, you got to go. Go take your brother, just for a little bit, and then I'll give you. If you guys go downstairs for 5-10 more minutes, I'll give you a soda and candy.
Yay, candy!
Hey, double down, man. They woke up
dude.
from a nap, 7 o'clock.
Oh.
Double down on the sugar.
Mommy's home too, and she does have soda and candy. Boom, they're gone. Yeah.
Hey, Clay, we're pushing over an hour here, but real quick, I mean, what's a piece of sage wisdom or advice you could pass on to somebody just starting out, or even somebody who is, knee deep into the wilderness of creative services? What's something you could share to them?
Man. Jeez. Honestly, like, I'll circle back to what I said is find like that team that you can circle yourself with. It's going to push you to be better. I finally, I feel like I have that right now, where my boss is pretty hard on us to be the best we can be. And everybody's pushing each other and competing to be the best, and finding that team. It's not like a one-man show is all fun and games, and you can make good money doing it by yourself, but you won't make the quality in the projects that will turn heads until you have a team to help you do that. That's, I think, one thing I'm realizing is that it takes a team, and that's one thing that a lot of these guys, there's a lot of people out there that are super talented that are just one guy shows, and it's they're good, but that next level for them is surrounding themselves with people who are better, and never. Actually, honestly, never get complacent. Like, I'm never going to think I'm the best at what I do. I'll never, ever be complacent in what I'm doing. There's always room for growth, and there's always room to be better and to hone your craft. And that's one thing I think that's kept me competitive, is that, like, I take a photo and I analyze that photo and I figure out what I could have done better. And there's no perfect photo. Even my favorite photo, that carousel, that might be the only perfect photo I've ever taken, because it was in the moment. Everything was perfect and not posed, and everybody was carrying on with their lives and captured, and that's it. Because there's so many guys who say, "Oh, I'm the best," or I think I'm one of the best photographers in the gun industry. I've heard it said before, and I'm like, as soon as you think that, you're going to become irrelevant, because you're just going to. There's going to be there's photographers like Mitch, I think his name is Mitch Miller on Instagram. Doug Hollow Pointed, his studio photography is off the charts. There's Cortland. There's all these guys that are just. I look at their studio stuff and I'm like, all right, well, I got to try that now for ARC Division, because I do all of ARC's media, and so there's these guys out there that are young and hungry, and they're changing the game, and
man.
you get and they don't think they're the best either. And that's the scary part, because I'm like, dang, you're pretty dang close to the best. Calm down there, champ.
Dude, yeah, those guys are tough to beat. I had both Mitch and Doug on in previous episodes, and hearing both of those guys talk, I mean, I told them, I'm like, look, you guys, I draw inspiration from them because their work is just insane, right? Like,
and they're like two of the nicest guys.
Oh, man, yeah. I just was hanging out with Doug down in Texas last week, and great dude, easy to hang out with. And then I was telling Mitch, Mitch does these just for funsies when he travels, because he travels a lot. The airport series stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Every time I see that stuff, I'm like, dude, that's some of the best stuff I've ever seen.
Mitch will repost random people's stuff too. And the only times he's ever reposted me, and I'm not saying to repost me, is when I'll do airport stuff, and he'll be like, oh, or he loves he reposts my buddy Ben all the time, and it's it'll be Ben's Disney, he's at Disney World just photographing his family. It's and I think Mitch lives for that realism in photography, and they both have such good hearts. They're both really good people. So it's watching people like that, you're like, wow, you know, these guys are going to make an impact on our future. Like they're the upcoming, they're the people with the bright stars. There's guys like Young Waco that do really cool videos. He just switched to anamorphic lenses and like they're color grading and putting up, like he runs a color grading competitions where he like puts his clip on you know, Dropbox and you download it and you color it. And I even did it. I was like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
but like these guys,
one. I gotta catch the next one.
Yeah, dude, they're these young guys they're creative and they're thinking outside the box, and if it that's what's gonna age me out. I'm gonna stop thinking outside the box, man. And they're killing it. I love all those guys. There's so many of them too. There's so many good photographers. I can't even think of them all, but they're all young and they're all hungry. Cool. So you gotta stay hungry.
True. All right, man. Last couple of questions here. First of the last questions is, can you give me 3 names of who you would recommend to be on the Guns and Cameras podcast next?
Yeah, there's actually this guy. Like I said, I've mentioned him a few times, and he's one of the most talented photographers that I know. He also has probably used more camera bodies than anybody I know. His name's Ben.photo, I think. Benjamin.photo on Instagram. Or the Red Coat Cowboy. He does both. But he used to work with me a lot, and he's absolutely super talented. He's just got this very unique eye for photos. And he does do stuff in the gun industry, but he's in and out of the gun industry. But he's worked with me on, like, he worked with me with the John Jones stuff, and he's by far one of the most talented and he's British too. He's very nice to talk to, very, very pleasant. So he'd be a good one to have on for sure. Then there's another guy, one of my good friends, Brett Bowman. I gave CQM to him when I left. He worked for me, and I gave him. I was like, take my company and, you know, run with it. And so he's probably. I haven't heard from him in a while. I reached out to him a few times after I gave him the company, and he's either mad at me or he's just neck deep in figuring it out. You know, it was a sink or swim. It was one of those things. I couldn't keep doing the pace I was doing. I was drowning, and I was miserable. My wife tells me all the time, being here, she sees a complete different personality in me. I'm much happier. I'm more present with the kids. My life is, everybody that sees me on Instagram is like, you seem better. And I'm like, I am, because I was drowning. And I kind of gave him the boat, and it wasn't a sinking boat, but I just couldn't do it anymore. So he's a good one. He's running CQM. He does all of Sterling Timepieces media and Premier Body Armor and all that. Cool. And a third person. I'm trying to think of somebody who would be good. I don't know. A third person. I keep my circle small. People think that I'm like really mean, and like I get so lost in the days in my brain that like people are like, oh, I haven't heard from you in a long time. I thought you were mad at me. I'm like, no, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not mad at you. I just got stuck like in my life.
Yeah, we have that in common.
So,
no worries. And then we can, if you think of a name, just
shoot
send
it
it
over
my way later. But last question is, we all have an oh shit moment, for lack of a better term. Could be good, could be bad. In your career to date, life, what is that moment for you?
God, I've had a lot of oh shit moments. I have. There was this one shoot, and this isn't like the worst oh shit moment on the planet, but it was up there. It's one of my worst. For some reason, I haven't had a ton of like really bad ones where it's been like an absolute screw up. But this one was pretty. We were doing a shoot it was a 20th anniversary of 9/11. It's one of my favorite films I've made. It's actually a narrative, like story-based film about a boy whose dad died, and now he's a firefighter, and his dad died in the Iraq War. We did this whole little thing about it, and we had this whole, like, it was a tight timeline, and it was like a $60,000 film, and I was in Arizona filming, I think for 3 or 4 days, and we had this one house we were going to use as like the house for the main character and his daughter. And we drive an hour and a half across it, Phoenix, all the way over there. It might have been 2 hours. And we get there, and I pull out the Red, and I set it up. We get all the lighting set up, and then I go to hit record, and it says that the card is missing. And if you ever work with a Red, they're those big red cards. And it was almost like It was almost like a movie scene. All of a sudden, you know how like snaps and like all of a sudden you see the exact location that it is. Like it's like like Quentin like I could just see it plugged into the card reader on the desk at the Airbnb, and I was like, oh. And like we had driven two hours there, set up everything, like right, and I hit record and media is missing, and I was like, no. So we ended up just shifting and doing it the next day. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it was literally like my brain, it was like that, like literally a movie moment where I could just see it plugged in right where it was. Right when I got back to the hotel or the Airbnb, it was exactly how I pictured it. Right.
Exactly,
Yeah, I was so mad.
Dude.
But yeah, I haven't had too many really bad ones.
That's a good one though. Those are yeah, I get those, man.
Yeah,
That's funny. That's when you go up to and you're like, hey, so funny story. You know how it's always it's like for me it's always a cable. There's always like one cable that you need.
Oh yeah.
And you forget the one cable.
Well, and the good thing was it was my project and everybody was hired by me, so like me screwing up was only me being mad at me. There was nobody to be mad at me. They're like, oh, so that was the caveat to it. But yeah,
crazy, man. Clay, thank you for being on the show. Super appreciate you taking the time to share your stories, share your wisdom. I cannot wait to see what you do with Clandestine. Hopefully, maybe we'll get to cross paths sometime soon. Montana's not all that far away from where I'm at. I don't know, you guys, SHOT Show? Yeah, I'll catch up with you there, and it'll be great. So, you guys, this has been Guns and Cameras with Clayton Cassidy, who's now moved out west. The guy's crazy talented. If you don't already follow him, be sure to go onto Instagram. Go to Clayton Cassidy. I'll throw it up here. Give him a follow. Put some comments on his work. Tell him how awesome his work is, because we all would love to hear more of that positive feedback. So, you guys, thanks for watching. Clayton, thanks. This has been
appreciate you having me on, man.
Y'all have a good night.
Come on. There we go. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this week's episode of Guns and Cameras with Mr. Clayton Cassidy. The guy's an OG, an absolute legend. And if you don't follow him already, go find him on Instagram. Give his page a follow, send him some DMs, make some comments, tell him how awesome his work is, because it is very, very awesome. I am done training, and I'm going to go back into my nice warm truck with a cup of coffee and warm up, because this has been a very gross day of training. I really appreciate you guys hanging out for this week's episodes of Guns and Cameras. Stay tuned for a lot more. We got some good stuff coming up in the future. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.